Alright, so what is good, everybody on YouTube? This is your boy B, Bullet RC, and we're coming back at you guys today with yet another video on Kung Fu Kenny, K. Dot, Man, Paula's oldest son, Kendrick Lamar's latest album, Damn. And before we get into this, first things first I gotta just say is damn. This is a fire ass album, and honestly, we might have a classic on our hands, in my opinion. And y'all know me, I'm your casual everyday listener. I might peek in the genius, so a little bit extra casual. Does that make sense? Maybe not. But some of the topics that are touched on and how they're related to current day events and how they play a role into the album's kind of storyline is really dope. And honestly, I feel like when I get older, and you know, you got the old heads telling you, oh, we used to listen to Pac or this guy, I feel like when I get to that age and I'm talking to somebody younger, maybe a niece or a cousin or something like that, Kendrick is gonna be one of the artists that I would definitely remember, and this is gonna be one of those albums that I definitely remember as well. So our first track off of Damn is called Blood, and this one's basically about Kendrick telling a tale of seeing a blind woman, offering to help her, going to help her, and then being shot and killed, dealing with themes of life and death, but also talking about wicked or weakness, which is something that you hear a lot throughout the album. Like that same wicked or weakness is like a recurring theme throughout the album. So maybe alluding that this old lady seemed weak, but at the end she was actually wicked and shot him. And then at the end we have a clip from when Fox News was talking about, well, more namely Geraldo Rivera talking about Alright, saying that, you know, hip-hop music is detrimental to, you know, African-American culture. It's just a bad thing. It's worse than racism almost. And then track 2 we got DNA, which is without a doubt one of my favorite songs off the album, and not just because it's just a straight banger, the lyricism is good, just the flow of the song is good, it just feels good, sounds good to play in the car. But to me, the overall message, now Kendrick is talking a lot about his upbringing, being in Compton, and just experience these things, and they just become a part of his DNA, a part of his bloodline. Like, he's used to shooters and killers and drug dealers and ballers and young kids with these dreams of being these guys and possibly fall into that gang related activity and poverty. But even though he speaks of some of these hardships in the song, he also talks about heritage. And honestly, for me, being a young African-American male in the US, I really like this song because I feel like it's almost empowering when I hear the song. Because although he talks about some of these horrible things being embedded in his bloodline, his DNA, he also talks about royalty being in his DNA, being descendants of kings and queens and a land like Africa, a land of riches and gold. And I really like that message of the song, that other opposite side of the message. And this is a song to me that you throw it on the car and you just blast it. Like this song to me is one of the greatest songs on the album just because of that. I just feel empowered when I hear it. He also goes into someone else's DNA. People are speculating maybe Big Sean. Your DNA switching up, turning into like a female, having no spine like a jellyfish, saying that your daddy snitched, probably in your DNA. And of course, people took that and kind of tried to reference and link it to Big Sean's thing, saying that I got it from my daddy is G, like genetics. And then pairing that with some of the lines on Humble, but we'll get to that track. So all in all, DNA, it's a fire track. I really like what he talks about on this one, and once again, one of my favorite tracks. So on the third track, yeah, it seems like on this track, Kendrick is really talking about like a lot of religious things, as well as calling out directly Geraldo Rivera from Fox News, saying, hey, somebody tell Geraldo this nigga got ambition. After they took that Alright performance and just kind of like flipped it and tried to make it something negative, when really it was a positive message come from Kendrick. And the idea of it being something uplifted is even like furthermore when he talks about his niece screaming that, hey, that's Uncle Kendrick on the TV. Everyone knows when somebody gets on TV and they say, hey, yo, mom, I'm on TV, that's something to be heralded, that's something to be praised about. And then also referencing his cousin Carl, saying that they've all been cursed. Deuteronomy said it, so that whole ideal will be repeated later on the album too. So not too much else to say about Ya, not one of my personal favorite tracks, but a good track nonetheless. And then we got the third track on the list, Element, another one of my favorites. When I tweeted out about talking about it, a lot of people said that it was one of their favorites as well. And in this track, it's just Kendrick talking about his rise to the top, dealing with family and other issues like that. But also saying if you gotta slap a pussy ass nigga, he gonna make it look sexy. If you gotta go hard on the bitch, he gonna make it look sexy. He's not gonna let anybody take him off the top. He's not gonna let nobody take him out of his element. And some of the earlier lines just saying he's crying for the shit, go eye to eye for the shit, basically just saying, yo, he has worked for it. He's not gonna let no anybody take it from him. He don't care what he has to do. And then we also have Kid Capri on this track assisting Kendrick, so that was dope. Then on the next track, I feel like Kendrick is rapping from more of an introspective standpoint, just that no one's praying for him, and just as some of the things that he feels internally, some of the things that he may struggle with, some of the ideals, and in some ways just kind of speaking out his aggressions with what he's been dealing with in the industry and in his life. Also, I want to say I really like the beat and the production on this track. Another good one, Feel. Next up, we got Loyalty, and this one features Rihanna. And this track is exactly what the title says. You have Rihanna and Kendrick both rapping about being loyal to a friend or just being loyal in general. And at the same time, not just rapping about being loyal to people, but also asking, what are you loyal to? Money, weed, business? What do you put your loyalty in? What do you put your faith in? And also linking some of these things back to God, saying that you could be loyal to this, you're loyal to that. If you don't know what you're loyal to, that's what God's for. You can be loyal to him, someone high up above. So I really like this track. So there's not too much else to dig deep into that track. We got Kendrick, Rihanna, Loyalty. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this next one, Pride, even with me looking at some of the lyrics and just trying to dissect it, I was having a little trouble kind of trying to pull something to really talk about the track, because it deals with exactly what the title talks about, pride. And this one, it seems like he was asking the question in some parts of the song where, do you put your wealth in materials or do you put your wealth into people, and how one can affect the other? And when I first listened to this song, it really reminded me of Eminem's Stand. Just the slow pace of it, the beat, it just reminded me of that song for some reason. When I went back and listened to Stand and now I listened to the song, I kind of could draw those conclusions. Even though the story and the theme are completely different, just the sound of the track, the beat, the low, somber, slow feel of it really reminded me of that old Eminem track. So right now I can't really dive deep. I'm still looking into this one. I do like the track, but I'm struggling a little bit, to be honest with you, to pull something out of it. And then as soon as you hop out of Pride, you come to Humble, which are two very stark contrasts, being prideful or being humble. But when I kept listening to this track and replaying it, it really seems like what he's rapping about and what he's saying is from a standpoint of not being humble at all, and then being reminded to sit down, be humble, hold up, like, you know, relax, bro. You're doing big things, but be humble. And connecting back to wicked or weakness, he re-says that line at the beginning of this track. And when I talk about like these braggadocious lines in the track, if you really listen to it, in the beginning, he starts off by saying he used to do this and do that, eat syrup sandwiches, now I'm counting this. I used to finesse a nigga with some counterfeits, but now I'm counting this. And in the video, he's just spraying money. He's got women all around counting the money. And it just seems like every time he goes back to the actual hook of the song, it's like him snapping back or telling someone to snap back and be humble about what they have. And this one, the production, this is just another banger of the track. And I believe it was the lead single off of this album. He dropped a video and people were going crazy. That video was crazy, the visuals were crazy, and that just created a lot of hype. Now, we do have to talk about a few lines though. In the hook, when you listen to it, you hear, hold up, little bitch, and that sounds like Big Sean. And another line I like off this song, he says, hold up, who they think they frontin' on? Man Man was his nickname given by his mom. And then he says, get the fuck off my stage, I'm the Sandman. The Sandman was from the Showtime at Apollo, and he would usher people off the stage. So I like that. I like that line by Kendrick. Almost saying like, yo, don't try to front me, bro. Like, get the fuck off my stage. Get the fuck, you're not on my level, bro. Get the fuck out of here. And then on this track, we also have the controversial line where he says, I'm so sick and tired of Photoshop. Show me something natural, like ass with some stretch marks, which I would feel like women would like, because he's trying to embrace the natural look of a woman. And it was funny to me that women were coming at Kendrick for saying this line, and I felt like it was nothing but positive. Like, you don't get mad at some rappers for like religiously objectifying women, calling them bitches, hoes, but they bad and they look good, so that's okay. But then you have Kendrick who says, yo, I want a girl who's natural, fuck the Photoshop, like just be you, and people are mad. That just goes to show on the internet, you can't say or do something and somebody won't be pissed off. That shit makes no sense. Please stop it. If you said some bullshit like that, please stop. Just stop. So on the track Lust, it talks about all ideas from people lusting over sex, money, people, objects, just the lust for things. And you have Kendrick on this track doing something that he does regularly on different tracks and kind of modifying his voice or maybe playing a character, keeps saying that, let me put the head in, just the tip. Just the tip. Saying that he respects the woman, but it almost seems like he's repeating the same question and pressuring her, and she's finally saying, okay, it's okay, yeah, go ahead. And in this song, there's a few verses where it's almost like a cycle. You know what I'm saying? It's a cycle for Kendrick. You know, maybe go focus on bitches, buy some new kicks, and then maybe a chick, you know, go call your man up, tell him he ain't shit, like stuff like that. It's almost like a repeated cycle of him just going through his day and just talking about what people lust for and what they do. And the production on this track reminds me of an old Andre 3000 song. I'm forgetting which one it was. And the production and the beat on this track really reminds me of an old Andre 3000 song. Now I can't remember which one it is right now, but I'm pretty sure somebody's gonna comment below because they felt the same way. I feel like it was an old track off of maybe The Love Below, but it has that similar feel to it. And The Love Below is one of my favorite albums, so that's definitely one I like. Next track up to talk about is Love. This is one of my least favorite tracks on the album. I don't know, I guess I'm just not really fucking with it yet. Maybe after a few more listens, I'll warm up to it, but right now, I'm not really feeling this one too much. And this deals with exactly what the title says, love. If I fell into this situation, would you still love me? You know, are you a ride or die, or are you just temporary? Are you gonna leave me, or are you gonna stay with me and support me? So this one's okay. I like the message of the track, but it's not one that I listen to all the time. Not one that I'm repeating. Next track we got is Triple X, and this has to be one of the best songs on the album. And this track features U2, and this is the best thing that I have not asked for from U2 to be put on my iPhone, because when they put that album on my iPhone and I couldn't figure out how to delete it, me and U2 we're not friends, bro. Like, I don't listen to U2. Why did they put that shit on my phone? But this time, good job being on the track, U2. And it opens up with Kendrick talking about chip a nigga with a little bit of nothing, basically just saying he'll shoot somebody for over a little bit nothing. Like, fuck it, bang, that ain't nothing to kill somebody. What is it? And when the beat switches up to like the Johnny don't want to go to school no more part, and it's that weird like piano just almost glitched out feel, that shit is fire. And when he's talking about Johnny, I feel like he's referencing just a young kid. He don't want to go to school no more. Like, that's not cool. He wants to go do what his big cousin is doing, like I'm reading here. Like, he want to be a rapper, or his cousin just caught a body the other day. That was cool. He kills guys. Like, that's cool. I want to be like him. And then he talks about how he got a call from one of his homies saying that his homie's son got killed because of insufficient funds. Well, that could be a drug deal gone bad, him borrowing money from somebody, just not having the money to pay up, and just someone offing him. And it was seen that he would call Kendrick because he believes that Kendrick is anointed and he's with God and he's gonna give him some uplifting advice. And Kendrick just says, nah, fuck that nigga. The beat just switches up. He's like, nah, fuck that nigga, kill that nigga. Like, I chipped that nigga, throw the blower in his lap, walk in the court and tell the judge, yeah, I did that shit. Like, he killed my son. I'm kill that motherfucker. Like, what are you doing? And it's funny that right after that, he says, hold on, I gotta go do something. I gotta go talk at something. And then you hear him say, hey kids, today we're gonna talk about gun violence. Like, he wasn't just on the phone with his homie telling him to go kill a motherfucker. Like, that's a stark contrast. And also when the homie called him, he was asking for him to pray for him, which is something that Kendrick talks about on Feel, where he says he doesn't feel like anyone's praying for him, but other people are asking him for his prayer, his advice, his goodwill. And then as the track goes on, he just goes to talk about America and Trump, talking about rifles being sent and Fox News telling people to be afraid, and comparing himself to a gang member or a terrorist, and saying that that's what America and that's what the media kind of paints him and paints his culture to be. Saying Americans are reflections of me, that's what a mirror does. So this is definitely one of the most political and thought-provoking tracks on the album, one of the best tracks for sure, and may go down as one of Kendrick's best verses that he's ever written down. Then on Fear, we get another call from Cousin Carl, and this one deals with Deuteronomy, a Bible verse. And basically from what I'm reading from it, it's saying until you're right with God, until you will stand with God, until you put your pride in God, you will always be cursed. That's why you have that chip on your shoulder, because you haven't fully accepted him. Then it has like this slow down, low pitch of someone asking about why God, why God, why do I have to suffer? After that goes off, you have Kendrick speaking the same lines reversed. And then Fear really kicks in, and it takes place over 3 decades. It talks about first being 7 and what you're afraid of, you know, getting dirt on your Jordans, or not eating all your food and getting your ass beat, or for Kendrick telling the social workers that someone lives there and they're not supposed to be there. All these things that he could have feared when he was 7 and he was little. Then we fast forward to being 17 and he talks about other things, like maybe he'll get killed at a party, or maybe he'll get killed because his homie was snitching. Maybe he'll get killed because he walks in the hood and he thinks his hood and their hood is cool. And just this repeated line of I'll probably die because of this, I'll probably die because of this, and all these things that he fears being 17 and being incompetent in that environment. Then when you jump from 17 to 27, you have him talking about his fears as someone accomplished. Is God gonna put him up on this space, and as Job did, have all these things taken away from him and be tested? Will he lose all this success and still have to be strong and settled until God restores him? And with all this success and all this fame comes money, and how he fears that an accountant, if they really wanted to, they could just fuck him over because he doesn't know about the accounting side of things. He hired someone to do that, and sometimes they could take advantage of that. And he references a case that Rihanna had one of her accountants that I believe led to her losing 9 million but getting 10 million back in the case. That could be incorrect, but a similar situation happened with another celebrity and how that could also happen to him. So Fear, really good track. And then last up we have Duckworth to close off this album in a strong track. And in this track he tells the story about how Top Dawg and his dad had actually met previously years ago. How his dad used to work at KFC and he used to serve Top Dawg Anthony. How his dad used to serve these guys, you know, an extra 2 biscuits or a little piece of extra fried chicken because he knew that the KFC had been robbed and people were killed in that situation. And when the KFC was actually robbed again, Ducky's dad was spared basically. He wasn't killed, and this led to them re-meeting. And if his dad hadn't chose to do these actions, his dad might not be here, Top Dawg might be in jail, and Kendrick might be another young youth killed in gang activity or anything out in the street. And I thought that was a really strong way to close out the album and just tell a really riveting story about how Kendrick came to be and how possibly he wouldn't be here if his dad wouldn't have served those extra 2 biscuits and a few chicken wings here and there. And once that song ends in a gunshot, presumably Kendrick dying or being shot, a lot of the tracks are reversed, like his life flash between his eyes, or the cycle is repeated, because the last line of the album is "So I was walking the other day," and that's exactly how this album opens up. It's almost like it was a cycle, like this cycle is going to repeat once again. So I know that was long and I went track by track, but I really wanted to dive deep in the album. I'm probably going to do Cardi's album soon, and that one won't be nearly as long as this. I just thought this was a really good album, and not to spend time going track through track would really kind of, I don't know, I thought that was important to talk about each track's ideals and how I felt about it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Much love to all the fam, followers, and of course supporters. You guys can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, SoundCloud, Snapchat. The Snapchat is bull.cb, by the way. Here, there, blase blah, of course, Bullet RC. And I'm gonna see you guys next video. Y'all be easy. If you haven't peeped the album, please go listen. It's a great album. Y'all be easy. Peace.